one of the most remarkable things that I've seen in my life is the transformation of the U.S. media from propaganda to almost cartoon. The perfect example of that is this morning, the response across the board, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, all of them, with the reporting of the interview that Bill O'Reilly did with President Trump on Sunday or Saturday, whenever they recorded it, where O'Reilly says that Putin is a killer. He doesn't offer any documentation. They have a bunch of nebulous accusations that they've made against him over the years. And Trump says, well, there's lots of killers. He doesn't confirm or deny about Putin. And that he says, but, you know, the United States, essentially, he intimated, has been very murderous itself. And they're treating Trump as if he committed treason this morning, as if this is some fantastic idea. When you have running loose President Obama, who has a body count in at least the tens, if not hundreds of thousands, Libya alone, tens of thousands, Syria, maybe 1 million. You have President Bush, at least 1 million Iraqis. You have President Clinton with Madeleine Albright's 500,000 dead Iraqi children from the sanctions. You have President Bush the first, how many dead Iraqis from the first Iraq war, all walking free, no charges. Each of them has killed more than Putin has ever been accused of by any remote measure. And yet Trump's statements are controversial. Not even controversial, they're being universally condemned. It is beyond propaganda at this point. It's like watching a really bad cartoon on some really bad LSD.
When do you see the United Nations solving problems? They don't. They cause problems. So if it lives up to the potential, it's a great thing, and if it doesn't, it's a waste of time and money.
A thinly veiled threat from then-President-elect Donald Trump has gained traction. Since taking office, the president has drafted an executive order to slash America's UN funding by at least 40%.
There clearly are a lot of voices around Trump saying, let's cut US involvement, let's be nasty to the UN almost on principle, and let's pay a lot less for what the UN does.
While that has rattled nerves in and around UN headquarters in New York, the official response is a cautious one.
Sometimes we talk too much about things that have not happened, and when you talk too much about things that have not happened, you trigger the happening of those things. So one thing you can be absolutely sure is that I will not be making comments on possibilities to enhance those possibilities to possibly be a reality.
But the concerns are very real. As it stands, the U.S. provides the largest amount of money to the UN, more than 1/5 of its regular and peacekeeping budgets, plus voluntary contributions to multiple UN agencies, all amounting to billions of dollars.
And if they suddenly bring this down, children are going to starve. If they cut down on the World Health Organizations, pandemics will creep around the world.
Counterterrorism, peacekeeping operations, and climate change initiatives could take major hits as well. But there would also be political consequences. Many UN observers agree that without a U.S. fully on board here, the UN may lose both capacity and credibility. But some experts also say that without U.S. leadership here, there would be a void that other countries could fill. And eyes are on China.
It's remarkable. A lot of Western diplomats, a lot of UN officials have been saying since Trump's victory, it's China's time at the UN. China has been investing more in the UN in recent years in terms of money, in terms of sending more troops on peacekeeping missions. And there's a sense now that if Beijing really wants to double down, really wants to invest in the UN, then it can hugely increase its leverage in New York.
China is a member of the Security Council. It could take the lead in the absence of the Americans and it would find a large part of the world behind it.
And this could signal a major shift in the global balance of power, which some here are saying is already happening. Li Lingtan, CGTN.
Iran has said recent missile tests are not a statement to the new U.S. administration. The foreign ministry stated that the country knows President Trump, quote, quite well. On Saturday, Iran's Revolutionary Guards conducted further missile and radar tests to the east of the capital of Tehran. The Trump administration, however, is not backing down from the claim that Iran is now on notice.
I think the president or the Ayatollah is going to realize that there is a new president in office. This president's not going to sit by and let Iran flout its violations or its apparent violations to the joint agreement. But he will continue to take action as he sees fit. But I think Iran is kidding itself if they don't realize that there is a new president in town.
For more on Iran, Trump administration's approach to the country and foreign policy, we're joined tonight by J.D. Gordon, former Pentagon spokesman. Good to have you with us, J.D.
Thanks, Ed.
Right now, on notice, what does it mean?
Well, it means that the United States is going to pay a lot more attention to what Iran's doing. I think President Obama was too weak towards Iran, and they took advantage of it. I think Western leaders were too weak towards Iran. They should have never been allowed to continue enriching uranium, because any country that can enrich uranium can make a nuclear weapon. So, yeah, they're on notice now.
Now, there's a number of countries that are saying that they can't blow up this and destroy this Iranian nuclear deal. Your thoughts on that? I mean, is this the beginning of that with the Trump administration?
Well, yeah, President Trump said during the campaign that he would want to renegotiate that deal. It's an awful deal, one of the worst ever. So it just allows Iran to get a nuclear weapon, but not right away. It takes more time now, because since they can still enrich uranium, they can cheat. And also, this accord expires over time, so they will get it if this accord continues as it is.
But the missile tests are continuing, and one would believe that there will be more tests in the near future. So what are the options of the Trump administration? More sanctions?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to continue sanctions on Iran. We have to make them a lot tougher. We have to really squeeze the leadership in Tehran, because otherwise they don't budge. Iran has to remember that the U.S. spends about 40 times what they do on defense. Our U.S. economy is over 40 times the Iranian economy. So if we really wanted to be tough with Iran, we could.
Missile strikes on some of their sites? I mean, that would be obviously an act of war. The Congress would have to get involved in a decision like that. And isn't it somewhat flamboyant to come out and say this country is on notice with no teeth behind it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Iran has to wake up to the reality that America is a much more powerful country. They need to remember that in 1988, during the Iran-Iraq War, in one day, our Navy destroyed about half of their Navy in one day. So Iran needs to be put on notice.
Is McCain and Graham going to come along with the president? I mean, I remember the campaign trail, bomb, 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 Iran. I mean, we know where McCain is on this.
Yeah, Senator McCain has been very tough on Iran. So I think that we're going to have some unity in the United States. People realize that President Obama tried to have a world tour where he was nice to everybody. Well, guess what? It didn't work out with dictators like in Iran and Cuba.
But there were a lot of countries that signed on to this Iranian nuclear deal, not just the United States. I mean, the world community was on this. Isn't this bucking the world community on what they want?
Well, we need to have a change in attitude, because a nuclear-armed Iran is horrible for the world, because then the Saudis will get one, the Turks will get one, and the Egyptians will get one. And look, Ed, you know, they've been fighting for thousands of years in the Middle East. Do we really want a nuclear-armed Iran? That's insanity. Okay. So we have to toughen up.
J.D. Gordon. Good.